Tia had difficulty speaking. Looking at Tia's expression, Gladys knew something must have happened last night. Immediately, she ordered, "Speed it out." Tia came clean. She told them everything that happened at dinner last night. However, after the Watsons and Zenoses appeared, Zara led her away. She did not know what happened after that. Everyone turned to look at James again after that. Was he telling the truth? Did he actually beat the Watsons and Zenoses into submission? Looking at how confused everyone was, James decided to make things easier for them. They would never believe him anyway. Alright, here's what happened. A person named Zane Dawn helped. Zane Dawn. Everyone was confused. Who was he? What? Lex seemed to come to a realization. Zane Dawn. Zane from the north, the one everyone calls the mining king. Yes, James said. That's the one. Ads by Pub Future. Lex glanced at James. Zane is very important in the north. The Dons are very influential. Even the 5 provinces business alliance are no match for them. Why would he help us? James looked gleeful. It all comes back to me. I saved Zane's daughter Cynthia yesterday by coincidence, so he helped me out to thank me in return. Everyone's confusion cleared. Lex let out a deep breath. No matter what, we still owe you thanks for helping us get through this. You are part of our family now. Anyone who mentions the divorce will get chased out of the house. Grandfather, it's only because of Tia that we got into trouble in the first place. Why should we thank James just because he saved some VIP's daughter? Exactly. If it were not for them, we would not have suffered so much. All the Callahans were unhappy. James just smiled. He did not need their recognition or approval. He did not care what they thought about him either. As long as Tia approved of him, it was enough. James was tired of talking to the Callahans. After going through so much, they were still behaving the same way. Darling, let's go to Medical Street now. At the conference, I'll put my best foot forward. The title of the best doctor will be mine. Yeah, Tia nodded. James grabbed Tia and headed out. They drove toward Medical Street. On the way there, Tia asked, "Honey, was it really Zane who cleared up our mess?" "Yes." "Then what happened last night? Why did the police arrest you?" James explained, "I hid Francis and Sean. They were from important families, so they made a police report. However, once Zane was there, they let it go." "Then what was the whole thing about the sword yesterday?" Oh, James was in a dilemma. What was he going to tell Tia? Only a handful of people knew about the Blade of Justice. It was nothing. It's just a sword that Henry made. James did not know what to say, so he made something up half-heartedly. Tia was still suspicious, but she let it slide. As long as James was safe, nothing else mattered. James continued to drive. Suddenly, he had a bad feeling. "Darling, sit tight." Tia was about to ask why, but James floored it and the car shot forward. Tia almost fell out of her seat. After James sped up, more than 10 cars behind him did the same. A man in a black jacket and black cap stood up through the sunroof in one of them. There was a rocket launcher on his shoulder. James saw all of it in the mirror. He swore, "Beastards, we're in the city. How dare they?" Whoever they were, James was surprised at how blatant they were. This was not the border of the southern plains. This was a developed, peaceful city. Looking in the mirror, he studied the situation. The rocket launcher was aimed straight at his car. He was slightly worried. If they fired, he could probably avoid the shot, but there would still be several injuries and fatalities since there were so many cars on the road. However, his concern was for naught. They never fired. What are they doing? He was confused. He waved in and out of traffic, turning onto the highway. Then, he started to head toward the suburbs. He was driving a Volkswagen that cost only above $20,000. The car was already going at 200 km per hour while the engine was going at 7,000 revolutions. "James, what are you doing? You are driving too fast. Stop." Tia was pale as she was thrown from left to right. She was jostled so much she was feeling nauseous. Looking in the mirror again, he discovered that the cars were still pursuing him. His confusion grew. Ads by Pub Future. They had every chance to blow his car up, so why did they not? He finally reached the suburbs and stopped at an abandoned place. Once he stopped, Tia opened the door and fell out in a heap, throwing up on the side of the road. All the cars in pursuit stopped as well. James noticed that many people excited the cars. He stood in front of his car, looking at them with confusion. They followed him, but they did not attack him. Obviously, they wanted him alone. "James." A man strode over. Wearing a black jacket and shades, he was about 50 years old and had dark skin. James stared at him. "And you are?" The middle-aged man threw a small vial at him. James caught it, looking down at it. It was a crystal vial containing some blue liquid. He frowned. The middle-aged man smiled. "Drink up." James prepared to launch a sneak attack. The middle-aged man seemed to know what James was thinking. "You can try. Everyone here will perish, but I promise your wife will be dead too." James rolled his shoulders and looked at the blue liquid in the vial. "At least tell me what it is." The man said, "Don't worry. It won't kill you. You'll lose your sense of smell, and your limbs will stiffen slightly. That's all. It'll last the day. Once the medical conference is over, you'll be back to normal." James finally understood. Someone did not want him at the medical conference, but they did not want to kill him either. Or maybe they knew that they could not kill him, or did not have the guts to. That's why they came up with this trick. To numb James' senses and restrict his movements so that he will not be able to use his silver needles and make it to the medical conference. "Once you drink it, we'll leave it once. We won't trouble you any further. Of course, you can choose not to drink it as well. We'll all perish together." James twisted the cap and swallowed the contents, tossing the vial to one side. Looking at them, he asked, "Are we good?" They turned to leave immediately. James called out, "Hold on." They stopped. With a dark expression, James asked, "Who's behind this? Who's stopping me from attending the medical conference? Is there something going on at the medical conference?" He was met with silence. His pursuers got into their cars and drove off. Thea was still vomiting. James had driven too fast, weaving in and out of traffic. It was too much for her. She knew that someone tailed them. She knew they were talking to James, but she was in no state to figure it out. James waited till all the cars had left before he spit the blue liquid out. Even though he spit most of it out, a small amount had entered his body and bloodstream. Quickly, he took out some silver needles and inserted them into his body, using them to expel the blue liquid out of his body. Once Thea had finished vomiting, she felt much better. She wiped her mouth with a piece of tissue and walked toward James. James had discarded his shirt. His body was full of silver needles. Some of them had blue droplets on them. James, what's going on? James removed the needles on his chest and arms, smiling at Thea. Don't worry, I'm fine. Thea's expression was stony. Do you take me for a fool? Who were those people? What did they give you? I have no idea. James looked serious. He did not know who they were. He did not know what they had given him either. He had spit most of it out and used the needles to draw the remains out, but a small amount had entered his bloodstream. He started to feel his body seizing up a little. Really? Thea did not believe him. Darling, I really don't know. Then, how are you feeling? You don't look so good. Should we go to the hospital? Thea noticed James looking worse than usual. She was worried, so she went to him and helped him up. James waved his hand. Don't worry, I'll lose my sense of smell and my movements might be restricted, that's all. I've expelled most of it, but there's still some of it. I don't think I can drive, so you have to do it. James tried walking. He could still walk. It was, however, a little stiff. Thea went to help him. Ads by Pub Future. James waved a hand again. Don't worry, I can still walk by myself. I have to figure out what this does before crafting an antidote. Slowly, he got into the passenger seat. Thea got into the driver's seat. She drove toward the city once again. Honey, are you sure you're okay? Don't worry, focus on driving. Thea asked, are we going home or are we going to Medical Street? To Medical Street, of course. This medical conference is unlike any other. James had a wondering expression on his face. It was just the first day, yet someone was already trying to stop him from going. One could only imagine all the excitement at the medical conference. How could he miss it? What about your body? Thea was worried. It was harrowing earlier on. They had nearly crashed a few times. James smiled. Don't worry, I'll be fine. James was a doctor and knew his body well enough. It would not be difficult to craft an antidote. Thea stopped talking and focused on the road. James took his phone out. His hand felt like it was made of stone. It took a monumental effort to hold his phone. It could no longer bend. If he bent his hand, his arm hurt. He called Jay. Where's the information I asked for? Yesterday, Jay had used all the resources of his underground intelligence network to launch an investigation. They could not get any information on Dr. King yet, only some surface-level information. I only managed to gather some surface-level information, James. Send it to me. Got it. Jay hung up and sent the information to James. James received an email. He opened it. There were some pictures attached. The man in the picture looked to be about 60 years old. He was wearing a suit and was slightly pudgy. He had a beard. Jonathan Harris. Real name, Miles Cash. Ancestry, Cloud City of Sol. Migrated to Goryeo when he was 30 and changed his name to Jonathan Harris. Currently the chairman of the National Doctors Association of Goryeo. James read the message Jay sent. The contents were simple. The information was basic. James looked at it and got lost in his thoughts. Was Jonathan Harris the Dr. King that Willie mentioned at Mount Thunder Pass? Was he the one behind the battle there? James found it unlikely. Jonathan Harris was just a doctor. Goryeo was one of the 28 countries, but it was a small country. It was impossible that he could mastermind the battle at Mount Thunder Pass. Or maybe it was not Jonathan at all. Maybe the true mastermind was someone else. James shook his head to clear his thoughts. He closed his eyes and got some rest. Thea drove carefully. Soon, they reached the city and arrived at Medical Street. The medical conference was just starting. As Medical Street was full of pedestrians, no cars were allowed. The parking lots nearby were full, so Thea could only park at a parking lot further away. They took a cab to Medical Street. The street was full of people. Thea grabbed onto James. He walked slowly, as if carved from wood. Honey, are you sure you're alright? Should we go to the hospital? Thea looked at James. Even his face had started to go stiff and expressionless. She was extremely worried. James moved his lips. No. Why don't you take me to Eternality Hospital since it's open again now? I know how to expel the toxins from my body. I'll be fine after I get rid of it. Okay, Thea agreed. She guided Thea toward Eternality Hospital. Ads by Pub Future. However, James was too slow. Honey, why don't I carry you on my back? I don't think so. There are many people here. I don't want to cause a scene. It'll be fine. Thea bent down, urging James to get onto her back. James thought about it. It would take too long to get to Eternality Hospital with his condition. He climbed onto Thea's back carefully. Thea stood up with some difficulty with James on her back. The street was full of citizens and reporters alike. Many witnessed the scene. Some pointed at them, while some recorded it on their phones. Thea did not care. She carried James and walked as fast as she could. Half an hour later, they finally arrived at Eternality Hospital. The hospital had been shut down, but the Callahans were there. However, all the doctors they had employed were now working at other hospitals. In front of the hospital, Thea put James down. She gulped in deep breaths. Her face beaded with sweat. Jokingly, she glared at James. You're so heavy. I'm so tired. James leaned against the threshold of the hospital and slowly produced a cigarette, smoking it equally slowly. Lex walked out and saw the scene. He asked, James, what's going on? Slowly, James answered, and nothing. Howard, John, and the rest of the family followed. The other hospitals were full to bursting, but Eternality Hospital remained empty. Western side. We are suffering due to the Watsons and Zenoses. We made $30 million on the first 3 days of the medical conference last year. Looks like we won't make a single penny this year. James roughly understood how the medical conference worked. The medical conference attracted people from all around the world to seek treatment on Medical Street in Kensington. Many of the hospitals tried to get patients as well. The first 3 days were for seeking treatment. The 4th day was when the competition began. However, there were just too many medical institutions on Medical Street. There were more than 10,000 of them in total. There were even more doctors. Millions of them. Not all of them would qualify for the competition. This was where the performance of the first 3 days came in. Each patient treated was recorded in the system. To qualify for the final competition, one had to be among the top 100, selected based on the treatments they administered on the first 3 days in a voting system by the public. The treatment took up 50%, while the voting took up another 50%. To determine the ranking, both the above would be taken into account. Hearing Weston's complaint, James said slowly, "Dee, don't worry. I'm here now. I'll make sure Eternality gets its moment. Take me inside. I need to craft an antidote." Thea was still catching her breath, but she went to James at once and helped him into the hospital. The Callahans watched James, who was stiff and slow. They were confused. What was going on? Inside the hospital, James sat down. "Thea, take my shirt off." "Okay." Thea obeyed. "And my pants." "What?" Thea was stunned, and she blushed. "Honey, what are you doing?" "Just do it." "All right then." Thea removed James' pants. He was only in his underwear. "Get the silver needles ready." "Okay." Thea quickly prepared the silver needles. The Callahans walked in, looking with confusion at the nearly naked James. Tommy mocked him. "James, you piece of trash. What are you doing now?" James ignored Tommy. Soon, Thea returned with the silver needles. "Here are the silver needles, honey. Ads by Pub Future." James asked, "Thea, do you remember the book I showed you on meridians and acupuncture points? Do you still remember how the points are distributed?" "No, not really. Can you please get the book?" Thea did not know what James was planning to do, but Eternality Hospital had plenty of books like that. Quickly, she tried to locate one of them. After that, she brought it to James. "Now, pick up a silver needle and follow my instructions. Stick it where I tell you to." "All right, stick it in here. Not too deep, just for the tip to go in." Thea had never done acupuncture before. After hearing what James said, she picked up a silver needle and flipped through the book to determine the accurate location. She held the needle in her hand, not daring to do it. "Honey, I am scared." "Don't worry, just do it." Thea took a deep breath and carefully stuck a needle into James. "Then here, here, and here." James kept instructing her. Thea checked with the book each time before she pinpointed the accurate locations on James. She only put the needles in after she was sure. Time ticked by slowly. Soon, James was full of silver needles. He was a strange sight with wonky needles sticking out of him everywhere. And now, honey." James closed his eyes. He was gauging the speed of his blood flow. "Darling, pinch my wrist. Pinch it hard for 5 seconds, and then release it." James kept instructing Thea. Thea followed his instructions. Slowly, the needles drew out some blue liquid. It was the poison he ingested earlier on. Using the needles, he blocked the acupressure points to expel the poison. "All done. Take the needles out." "Okay." Thea removed the needles quickly. Once all the needles were removed, James stood up and moved his body. He was still a little stiff, but he was feeling much better. He picked up a pen and paper and scribbled down a prescription hastily. Passing it to Thea, he said, "Please help get these ingredients for me and prepare a concoction. I'll be fine by tomorrow." "Okay." Thea nodded. Then, she frowned. "All the doctors have left. I don't know how to do it." "I'll do it." Lex, who had been observing, approached. Lex was once a doctor. Even though he was not an expert, he still knew his way around medicine. Everyone else looked at James. What was he trying to do? "James, what?" John could not help but ask. James smiled. "Someone tried to stop me from attending the medical conference and forced me to ingest poison. I lost my sense of smell and my movements were restricted temporarily." Hearing what James said, the Callahans mocked him. Howard's wife, Jolie, said sarcastically, "James, aren't you overestimating yourself? Did you think you are a genius doctor just because you have some medical knowledge? There are millions of doctors in Kensington. Any one of them is better than you." "Exactly," Tommy agreed. "You're good for nothing except boasting." James did not argue with them. The Callahans had never seen eye to eye with him. They mocked him at every opportunity. He had gotten used to it, so there was no point in arguing. Thea asked, "Honey, could you help Eternality rise from the ashes?" "What has Eternality got to do with me?" James said carelessly. "I want Pacific, no, Century, to make its mark at the medical conference this time." Bullsh *T. "James, let's see how you manage to help Century. The factory lots and offices have been shut down. What else can you do?" The Callahans started their sarcastic remarks again. "Thea, let's take a look at Century." "Okay." Thea nodded. Ads by Pub Future. The two of them left Eternality. Soon, they arrived at a hospital that was of average size. Located on a quieter part of Medical Street, it only had one entrance. Thea had changed its name from Pacific to Century, but it temporarily shut down on the same day. In front of Century Hospital, there were a few wooden benches. A bored-looking doctor sat on one of them. Trevor and his family were busy distributing flyers on the street. "Come check out Century Hospital. Headed by an expert doctor with 30 years of experience. Consultation fees are free while medical fees are 50% off." Trevor, his sons Larry and Quinlan, and his grandson Quinton were distributing flyers in front of Century Hospital. Passers-by took and threw them in the trash without even looking. James and Thea approached. "Mom." The whole family came up to them. Thea asked, "Granduncle, how are things going?" Trevor looked resigned and sad. There are too many hospitals and doctors on Medical Street. A small hospital like ours is definitely on the losing end. Everyone has gone to the larger hospitals to see well-known doctors. Grandfather, a voice said. Quinton held his phone out. More than 200,000 people have made appointments at Herbal Biotech. Since Drive. Fallon isn't around, they've all flocked to Christine. She has more than 80,000 appointments. Quinton was looking at the app specially created for the medical conference. Everyone could download the app and choose their preferred doctor. They could also access the appointment statistics for each hospital and doctor. Hearing what Quinton said, Trevor sighed. How could we compare to Herbal Biotech? Doctor Fallon's there, and his granddaughter is even better than he is. Even the other doctors there are phenomenally well known. Just then, Howard and his family arrived. Looking at how empty Century Hospital was, they laughed. I see there's no one here either. It's so quiet here. How would you get any customers? Even if I was sick, I wouldn't come here. Look, there's only one entrance. It's way too small. What a disgrace. The Callahans started gloating. Quinton shot back, I don't see anyone at Eternality either. Even your doctors have left. How dare you? Tommy flew into a rage, ready to punch him. What are you doing? Lex approached, shouting at Tommy. Tommy stopped. Trevor looked at Lex, feeling all sorts of complicated feelings rise. It had been years, yet Lex had never set foot in his hospital before. This was the first time in 20 years. Trevor. Lex leaned on his cane as he approached. He looked resigned. We fought over our family assets all those years ago. It's been so long, and we are both at the end of our lives. Could we let this go? Trevor and his family looked at Lex. What was he trying to play at? Hey, what's the expression all about? Tommy asked arrogantly. He pointed at Trevor and his family, shouting, didn't you hear what my grandfather said? Tommy, shut your mouth, Lex ordered. Yes, grandfather. Tommy did as he said. Lex looked at a dejected Trevor and sighed. After all this, I finally come to my senses. Why don't we let bygones be bygones? We're family. We don't have to keep doing this. As she heard Lex say that, Thea was overjoyed. Happily, she said, Grandfather, I'm so happy you could let things go. Now we can live together in harmony as a family once more. What family? Larry's son Quinton said unhappily. When the Callahans were rich, did they ever cross their minds? Now that they were in trouble, they reached out. Trevor's face brightened considerably. The past is in the past. I have forgotten all about it. Ads by Pub Future. The two old men finally agreed on something. However, they had been out of touch for more than 20 years. Both families were not familiar with each other as well. Things got slightly awkward. After Lex bid Thea goodbye, he led everyone back to Eternality. Thea looked at James. What now, honey? James was sitting at the entrance of Century Hospital, looking at the people passing by. This morning, he had been force-fed poison. The person behind it had so many people at his beck and call. He even dared to use a rocket launcher in the city. Whoever it was must be powerful. However, they did not kill him. All they wanted was for him not to participate in the medical conference. Why, honey? Yes. James came to his senses, looking at Thea. What's up? What are you thinking about? You look lost. Nothing. James waved his hand. Thea, why don't you log into the app and register as a doctor under Century? But I don't know the first thing about being a doctor. Thea looked troubled. Leave that to me. James smiled. If the other party wanted to play games, he wasn't. However, he could not reveal his hand just yet, so all he could was help Thea from the shadows. As long as Thea could get into the top 100 and make it to the final competition, he would naturally be able to find out what the enemy wanted. His instinct told him that trouble was brewing at the medical conference. Alright, Thea did not argue any further. She opened the app and registered as a doctor under Century Hospital. After that, she read the rules to make the top 100. To be in the top 100, she had to treat patients and gather votes. Each patient did not equal a vote. After treatment, each patient would have the choice to vote for the doctor who treated them, depending on whether or not they were satisfied. There was also a popularity vote on the app. All one had to do was vote for his or her favorite doctor. Everyone could vote once a day. 3 days later, the popularity and treatment votes would be combined. The top 100 doctors with the most votes would qualify for the competition. Honey, this is too difficult. I don't even know the first thing about being a doctor. How am I supposed to treat patients and make them happy? Thea looked conflicted. James smiled. Well, you can count on me. Furthermore, you are the most beautiful woman in Kensington. People love you. As long as your message makes it to the app's homepage, people will vote for you. Making the top 100 would not be a problem at all. Thea rolled her eyes. She wondered what other tricks James had. Who knew that he was going to use her beauty as a reason to get votes? Even if I manage to get enough popular votes, they're only worth 50%. I don't have any medical knowledge. How would I gather votes from the patients? I would never make the top 100. James smiled mysteriously. Leave that to me. Why don't you take a walk outside? I'll take care of the rest. Thea nodded, resigned. Alright then. It was exceptionally busy on Medical Street today. She wanted to see it for herself. She left after she bid James goodbye. James continued to sit at the entrance of Century Hospital. He took his phone out and called Jay. As the helmsman of Herbal Biotech, Jay was rarely available for consultation. Just then, he was sequestered with other experts in the medical world, discussing content for Thea. Competition. His personal phone rang. He took a look at it. Noticing that it was James, he got up immediately and went to a corner. Softly, he said, "What's up, James?" James had a cigarette in his mouth. Carelessly, he said, "This morning, someone hunted me down, but they didn't kill me. All they did was threaten me with my wife and forced me to ingest some poison. It restricted my movements and I lost my sense of smell. Ads by Pub Future. Are you alright? Of course I am. Why are you calling me then? James ordered. Use the underground intelligence network to investigate who tried to kill me this morning. I need to know who's behind it, but I need them not to know either. James, the medical conference just started. I'm busy. Ron has taken over the network completely. Could you call him directly if there's anything you want to know? There's something else. Tell me. Jay sounded slightly impatient. James said, my wife Tia has registered as a doctor under Century Hospital. You were the genius doctor the last time. Herbal Biotech developed the app in collaboration with some other big organizations. Think of a way to place my wife's information on the homepage. I want my wife to get more votes. I'm on it. After he hung up, Jay called the technical department. He told them to put Tia's information on the homepage for more exposure. James called Scarlett after that. Scarlett picked up and said, James. James ordered, hire some people to make appointments with my wife on the doctor app. What? Scarlett could not comprehend it. Was he asking her to spend money on appointments for medical consultations? What was going on? James, what are you up to? James chuckled sheepishly. Oh, it's nothing. I'm trying to build my wife a reputation at the medical conference. She has to make the top 100 to qualify for the competition. Got it. How many people are we getting? James said, check the app out. As long as we exceed whoever's in the first place by 10 or 20,000 appointments, we are good. I'm on it. Scarlett hung up. She sat in her office after that, a resigned expression on her face. Buy votes, get into the top 100 at the medical conference, and qualify for the competition. She had heard of the medical conference. The first 3 days of the medical conference were when all the hospitals on Medical Street fought for popularity and earned some money in the process. Instead, James was spending money to get popular and aid his wife in becoming the top 100. So what if she made it? How could she compare to the other doctors who had years of experience on her? She sighed. However, she dared not disobey James. She visited Quincy's office. Quincy was studying a proposal. When she saw Scarlett, she put down the documents and got to her feet. Ma'am. Scarlett waved her hand. Quincy, I have a mission for you. Yes, ma'am. Scarlett said, set up a temporary department immediately. I need you to get people online to make appointments with Tia on the doctor app. Pay each person who makes an appointment $10. If they could make it to Medical Street, see Tia in person for a consultation and give her their vote, pay them $100 each. Quincy was stunned. She did not understand what Scarlett was trying to say. Ma'am, what's all this about? Scarlett coughed awkwardly. James wants to ensure Tia gets into the top 100 at the medical conference. Oh, Quincy came to a realization. I get it now. Immediately, she put the plan into action. She was great at executing plans. Quickly, she set up a temporary department, recruiting a few hundred people from different departments in the company. All of them created their own chat group, each consisting of more than 1,000 people. Good news. Download the doctor app now and search for Century Hospital. Select Drive. Tia Callahan. Make an appointment and earn $10. To earn $100, visit Tia in person for a consultation and vote for her. All the chat groups had the same message. Some of the participants signed up warily, selecting Tia for an appointment before taking a screenshot to send to their group leaders privately. In no time, they received a transfer. Ads by Pub Future. Wow, it's true. Mom, give me your phone. We'll get some money by signing up for something. After their success, they grabbed their relatives' phones and downloaded the app. Once they made an appointment, they received a transfer from their group leaders. Quincy downloaded the doctor app as well. Within the short time of an hour, 3,000 people had made an appointment with Tia. However, 3,000 appointments were not enough for Tia to make it to the top 100. Jay's granddaughter Christine was at the top of the list, who had more than 200,000 appointments. Her fees were exorbitant at $3,000 per patient. As Tia was unknown, she did not even have a consultation fee. Maximize the exposure, create more groups and get more people. Quincy issued an order. Having gotten their orders, everyone continued to promote it the best they could. Medical Street, Century Hospital. James sat at the entrance, pretending to be stiff. He was putting on an act for anyone who might be watching him. Is his doctor, Tia Callahan in? A boy of 17 or 18 years of age approached. Seeing James, he asked cautiously, I heard that if I see Tia for a consultation and vote for her, I'll get $100. Is that true? James was overjoyed hearing this. Of course it's true. You don't have to actually come in. Just click on the app that you've completed your consultation, give her a 5-star rating and a short review, and you'll be able to vote for Tia. Alright, the boy did as James said. He managed it in no time. As soon as he received his vote, he gave it to Tia. He sent a screenshot to his group leader. $100 was transferred to him quickly. He jumped up and down excitedly, spreading the news to everyone else in the group. He shared it with his family and friends as well. It was a way to earn some good income. James opened up the doctor app. Tia's information was now on the homepage. With hundreds of thousands of appointments, she was now in the top 3. Her information slot displayed that she had completed more than 30 consultations with 30 votes from her patients, which were increasing by the minute. Haha, James laughed out loud seeing this. Tia would get into the top 100, no sweat. Tia was enjoying her walk on Medical Street. All the big hospitals were full of people with queues snaking out of them. Herbal Biotech, Longevity Hospital, and Celestial Hospital were particularly full and extremely busy. Tia, you're a sham. How could you do something so horrible? Your appointments have far exceeded Christine's. You've even left your real Willows, Drive, Michael, and Cameron Grimbon among other expert doctors in the dust. Tia was just walking, but all the passers-by were pointing at her. Some of them insulted her. She was confused. Why was she a sham? She took her phone out, checking the doctor app. Her eyes almost bugged out of her head. Apparently, she had gotten 200,000 appointments and treated more than 30,000 patients. She was in the lead. What? Ads by PubFuture. Her eyes widened. Who was behind this? Was it James? Now she knew why James was so confident. It had not even been half a day yet, but she had treated more than 30,000 people. All the doctors at Herbal Biotech combined did not even reach this count. James was way too obvious. Did he not care that people would find out? She turned pale after hearing the passers-by insults, lowering her head and quickly walking away. Soon, she returned to Century Hospital. James was sitting at the entrance of Century Hospital. He looked just like a wooden carving, unmoving and expressionless. James. Tia approached him, gritting her teeth. Look at what you've done. Could you be more obvious? Tia, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you are saying. James' mouth moved slowly and woodenly, enunciating each word clearly. He sounded just like a robot. You. Tia was so angry she turned pale. How much money did you spend to buy me votes? They were no longer wealthy. They were about to lose their livelihood, and here was James, spending money on votes. Even if I get into the top 100 and qualify for the competition, so what? I don't know anything about medicine. I'd be disqualified immediately at the competition and become a laughingstock. Tia was so angry she could not stop berating James. Just then, Tommy and his family showed up. They rushed over after seeing Tia's ranking on the app. All of them knew that Tia had bought the votes. Megan looked at Tia, laughing cruelly. Tia, how interesting. What a joke. Wendy burst out laughing. This is hilarious. I can't believe you are buying votes. What a fool. So what if you make it to the top 100? You'll still be a joke in the competition. The Callahans were all here to gloat. All of them called Tia a fool. Tia just wanted to hide. James had done a terrible thing. How could he cause so much trouble and make her the laughingstock of Kensington again? Just then, a group of reporters showed up. They aimed cameras and camcorders at Tia. Tia Callahan, how much did you spend to be in the lead? Century Hospital is so quiet, yet you have more than 200,000 appointments and treated 30,000 patients in less than half a day. How did you do it? Some of the reporters raised questions. Tia's face felt hot. She wanted to burrow into a hole. She did not say anything but left with her head hanging. Hair.